first heard this story many years ago when a bunch of Italian storytellers were visiting Emerson College down on Forest Row, which is just south of London. And they told this amazing story that was set in Venice. I always imagined that it would be set in Venice in the 1400s, when Venice was at its prime as a great trading port. And the story begins with a jetty, and on the jetty is a boy. And this is not a sad boy, not an unhappy boy, but a boy full of hope, full of promise, full of anticipation. Because today, this boy, his name is Stefano, is 13 years old. And for his birthday, he's going to get to spend a day on his father's merchant ship. And he's waiting on the jetty for his father to come and pick him up. Early in the morning, the sun's just rising out of the Mediterranean Sea. Venice at that time in the 1400s would have been a sprawling merchant port with lots of things going on. And Stefano is there waiting patiently. And eventually he sees the mast and the main hull of the father's trading ship coming towards him. And he's picked up by the ship. And he spends the whole day working with the crew, asking questions. What happens here? How does this rope go? How do we get the sails up? And the whole day he works and he asks questions, and he becomes a favourite of the crew on this vessel. And his father stands proud because his son has integrated with the crew so well and is so fascinated by something which is his own passion, which is sailing. And the day wears on, and Stefano is absolutely in his element. And he's gone up the mast, he's gone up the rigging, he's set the sails, he's steered the ship, he's talked to all the crew. And as the sun is setting, there's a cry from the lookout at the front of the ship. El Toro! El Toro! El Toro, the bull shark, the shark of destiny. And El Toro, for sailors at that time, was a talisman of doom. If El Toro was spotted, it meant that there was potential a shipwreck might happen, or somebody might be lost in the sea. And the shark popped its head up above the sea and looked at the ship and looked directly at Stefano. Well, the ship's crew were in panic, and the colour immediately washed away from Stefano's father's face as he knew that the shark was looking at his son. They headed back to port, and Stefano was put back on the jetty, and his father rested his hand on his shoulder and said, Stefano, the bull shark has seen you, and you are now in danger if you go to sea. And so I am forbidding you to follow in my footsteps and become a sea captain yourself. And with that, Stefano was sent away to Milan, away from the sea, and was sent to school to become a lawyer. And Stefano, being interested, studied hard and became the best lawyer that he could be. But it took its toll. It took its toll on the family. Stefano barely spoke to his father through the years and only corresponded with his mother through letters. Stayed in Milan and built up his legal practice. And one day he received a letter from his mother to say that his father had died and had left him his small fleet of sailing vessels, merchant vessels. And with that, Stefano returned to Venice, and he took up a life of a sailor. First, he went and learned the trade, because of course he knew nothing of it. He was a trained lawyer, not a sailor. But he found work on another merchant vessel and learned the trade. And then he took to his now ships that belonged to him, and he plied his trade across the Mediterranean Sea. And he built up a business, a really good, powerful business, buying more ships. And all the time he was out on the sea, El Toro would follow him, popping his head up above the sea and looking, eyeing Stefano. And Stefano would stand in the wheel, with the wheel in his hand, and look back at the shark in defiance. Yeah. You want to come to me? Yeah. The years passed. Stefano built up an enormous fleet of ships. He was one of the most powerful merchants in Venice. But all the time, although he'd built up this great business, he was unhappy. There was something missing. And the years passed, and Stefano became older, and eventually he knew that he was going to die. The end comes to us all. And so, in one last effort, he had his crew lower him over the side of his great big sailing galleon into the sea, and he rowed towards El Toro, the bull shark. And he rowed, and he rowed, and he thought, for once and for all, I'm going to put an end to the bull shark. And he rowed towards the shark, and the shark swam towards Stefano. And Stefano rowed towards the shark, and the shark swam towards Stefano still. Stefano could sense that the shark was close, and he was about to raise his oar to strike the shark, when the shark said, "Ah, Stefano, at last we meet. I've been waiting for you for many, many years." Well, Stefano was aghast. "My God," he said, "a talking shark." "Ah, talking shark, yes," said the shark. "And I'm surprised as well. Talking monkey, huh?" "Anyway," said the shark, "you've finally come to see me, and I have something for you." And the shark opened his great jaws, and the teeth glistened in the sunshine. And inside the shark's mouth was a great big globe. And in the globe there were sparkles, and it seemed to be shimmering, and there were things happening in this great big orb. And the shark offered the orb to Stefano. "Take this," he said. "It is your destiny." Stefano reached into the shark's mouth and took out this great globe. And he looked deeply into the crystal, and he could see himself as a younger man, and he could see the joy and happiness. He could see a wife, children, not so many ships, not such a big business that he'd built up. But he could see much more joy. And the girl that he could see in there looked like a girl that he'd known at law school, but had decided not to pursue. And eventually, after Stefano looked for a little while into the orb, he said, "But, El Toro, I am now an old man. If this is my destiny, how can I fulfill it?" "Oh," said the shark, "yes, you should have come and collected your destiny earlier in your life, and then you would have been able to fulfill it." And with that, the shark swam away. Stefano was left in his rowing boat, looking into this beautiful, beautiful orb that showed his destiny. A few months passed, and on a beach just outside of Venice, a small rowing boat was washed up, and in the rowing boat was a skeleton, picked clean by the salty sea air and possibly the seabirds. And in the hand of this skeleton sat an unhewn lump of rock. It was all that was left of Stefano's destiny. I'm sure there's a moral in that story. I'll let you find out what it is. I hope you enjoyed it.